Okay, there are the last two questions. Again, have a wee read and give it a pause and see how we get on. So this actually looks very similar to the last question, doesn't it? When you see the format of the quadratic, we're very used to seeing the trinomial. The kind of y equals y equals x squared plus 2x, take away 7 or whatever. And this time they've written it here without that number, because the number would be the height, which we then would put the whole thing equal to 0 to solve. So we've got two parts, this part and this part. And instead of the number, we're being told, well, we've got h, which we could then rearrange to solve. Okay, so let's have a look. What's the questions? The height of the ball relative to the cliff top after t seconds is given by that. Calculate the height of the ball above the cliff top after 2 seconds. And again, I hate how close I don't know if this is because they've been put together. I don't know if the exam's as close as this, but this is then a different question. Okay, so this first bit, that's your first question. It's just a one marker, so you should think, right, it can't be that hard. So we'll calculate the height of the ball after 2 seconds. All it's saying is, right, okay, if that's the height, we're just going to substitute in 2, and that's going to tell us what the height is after 2 seconds, because that's all this equation is. It's a series of, you put in a time and you get the height out. So here, we've got, imagine that's the y-axis there, the x-axis, just like down here. I've got time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You put a time, it's going to tell you the corresponding part of the graph that you're on. So the height is then going to be equal to 24, take away, what's that, 4 times 5, take away 20. So we should be 4 meters above the cliff. 4 meters above the cliff, right? And then 4 markers, you're thinking, right, that's a bit trickier. The sea is 17 meters below the cliff top. How many seconds till it hits the sea? Okay, well, we know that h is equal to 12t, take away 5t squared. I'm just going to rewrite that into h is equal to negative 5t squared plus 12t. I put like the powers like that. And how many seconds will it hit the sea? Okay, so 17 meters below the cliff top. So to me, that's saying that the height is relative to the cliff top here. I would say, well, the height is negative 17. There's 17 below, aren't I? And I'm trying to solve for t. So get everything onto one side. I think getting onto this side is probably easier. Doesn't matter which side you use, but if you make this positive, life will be a lot easier. So let's say that is 5t squared, take away 12t, take away 17 equals 0. You could put it all onto this side as well. You get the exact same answer. Okay, just that what I've effectively got here is a kind of inverted, thing, right? Kind of. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you get it to one side or the other, it'll work out in the end. Okay, so don't worry about it. So that's my quadratic. How am I going to solve that? Well, it's just factorising, isn't it? So again, the hard bit, I think, is knowing what to sub in at the beginning to set this line up. Just like before, once you've set this line up, it's the same as what we've done previously. So I'm looking for something that adds to this number and multiplies to 5 times 17. So it's that negative 85. Okay, so I'll be thinking of my factors of that. So 1 and 85, 2 won't go. 3 actually goes. We'll do 85. Well, no, 3 doesn't go because they add up to a number that's not in the 3 times table. So that 3 wouldn't go, sorry. I don't think 4 would go. No, 5 is going to go. So that's going to be 1, carry with 3, and then 7, so 5 and 17. I'm thinking that looks like a good bet, doesn't it? There's the 12 in there. So for this difficult factorise, we split this up. I'm going to split this up into a, call that plus 5t and negative 17t. Take away 17. So if you add this together, I'm still back to here, yeah? And I decided to write it out this way because I want my 5s and my t's together and my 17s together. I'll just make the factorising a lot nicer, because now I take a common factor. Take out 5t, so it'll be t plus 1, and then over here I'll say t plus 1, copy the bracket. What do I have to put in front of that for it to make sense? Well, I've got to put in negative 17 in front of it. And then I put those two together, so 5t take away 17, they go together, and then I just rewrite that bracket, t plus 1. So that's saying that my answer is t is equal to negative 1, or t is equal to 17 over 5. That's what's going to give me 92. And I'm sorry, I've made a classic mistake here. Don't forget to keep writing equals 0. So those are my two answers. Now t negative 1 doesn't make any sense, does it? Because time has to be positive, so you can cancel that out and say, well, it's 17 over 5 seconds. Leave it as a fraction, that's fine. That's where the ball is going to be on the C. So tricky-ish, but actually very similar, if I can zoom out, very similar to this question when you look at the way it's laid out, isn't it? And you're substituting a value, you're putting your quadratic equal to 0, and then you're solving. And to solve, we just factorise. So hope that's helpful. And yeah, I'll try this question before the video runs out. Okay, so I'll try and do this quite quickly because we're running out of time. So, how we read it that? First thing, say an expression for the length of card in terms of x. So there's my length, okay? And I want an expression. Well, that's 13, and that's also x. Then I'm going to have to say 13 plus 2x. That's equal to L, isn't it? So that's my expression. Yeah, L equals, an expression doesn't have an equal, so I'm just going to write that, but that's what the length is, isn't it? And then hence show this. So look at the information we're given. We're told the area of the card is 270. So to me, the question's saying, write an expression for the area of the card, and it should come out as this. Okay, so the area of the card is just the length times the breadth. And again, we've got to use what we've got. So I know it's going to be 13 plus 2x, which is my length. And what's the breadth? It's going to be 9 plus 2x as well, isn't it? 9 plus 2x. So if I do the length times the breadth, it should give me this. So hopefully when I multiply all this out, it's going to come out as that. So let's have a look. 2x, I'll write it 2x and 13 is the way I like to write it. And 2x and 9. So 4x squared, that's looking good. Right, so I've got 4x squared, nice one. Again, equals 270. And that's going to be 16x, that'll be 18x. 18x, so let's have a count of those x's then. What's that coming out as? 24x. So that doesn't look great. Let's have a wee think about that. And the last one, 13 times 9, just a wee chimney sum. 9 threes are 27. That'll be 97. So plus 97 is going to give me 270. Aha, I see my mistake. So that's 20. 26, isn't it? 26. So that's going to be 30, 44. There we go. So, when you're doing these, it can, I'm leaving this in. I could just redo it, but I want to show you that sometimes you have to look ahead and think, well, wait a minute, does that make sense? Yeah. And that was 97. So now I'm hoping when I pull this over, I'm going to get negative 153. So if I do 4x squared plus 44x, if I do 97, take away 270, I should get 153. So let's look at the difference then between, if I do 270, take away 97, so borrow 6 and 1, so it's going to be 3, borrow again, that'll give me 7 and 1. So there's a little mistake somewhere, so I can find it. Oh, that's what happens in the last video. It's so, rookie mistakes all around, guys. I do apologise. Sorry, so 9 3s 27, 9 1s are 9, plus the 2, I forgot my plus 2, classic, and again, you know what, I'm leaving this in because this is what happens when you do these. It's very easy to make a little mistake, and at that point, you need to think to yourself, well, wait a minute, where have I gone wrong? So now we should find the difference is 97, so I'll try that again. So I'll do 270, take away 117, it'll be 6 and 1, so that'll be 3, 5 and 1, so it's negative 153. Whew, phew, there we go, negative 150. So, I've just got a little bit tired there, but effectively you're doing the length times the breadth, which equals the area of the card, and then you put it all to one side to equal 0. So there's your first bit. And the next one, calculate the width of the border equal to 1 decimal place. Well, there's your clue, isn't it? How could you possibly solve this to 1 decimal place? You're going to use negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, and you will discount one of your answers because one will be a negative, and that won't make any sense. So look, I hope that was helpful. Any questions,